Hello, welcome to this week's episode of Shape Your Future weekly video series. So today, I want to start by looking at the past rather than solely focusing on the future. Now there's a reason for this, so stay with me. Now, I think it's safe to assume that most of you watching are familiar with the sayings, turn the other cheek and go the extra mile. But I think it's also safe to assume that most people have no idea what these two sayings actually mean. So, in case you're unfamiliar with where these sayings came from, both of these came from Jesus' famous Sermon on the Mount. And as you can imagine, this sermon has been pored over by religious and secular scholars for centuries. Now, what's shocking is that with all the attention that it's received, the most important element has mostly been left out of their interpretation. Can you guess what that element is? Now, if you know me, then this should be an easy answer. The answer is context. And in this case, more specifically, it's cultural context that has been left out. So here's what these passages actually mean when you take cultural context into consideration. First, turn the other cheek was not about taking a beating. It was about civil disobedience and refusing to be seen as a second-class citizen in Roman-occupied first-century Judea. You see, Roman soldiers, like most of the population at that time, were right-handed. So when Jesus says if they strike you on the right cheek, offer them the left, he's telling them not to accept being backhanded, which is how the Roman soldiers reminded their subjects of their place in the social hierarchy. By offering them your left cheek, they would have to hit you with a closed fist, which was only reserved for fellow Roman citizens. They're equals. That gives turn the other cheek a whole new meaning, right? In the same vein, going the extra mile was not about pushing yourself harder and further than everyone else. This was actually another act of resistance against the cultural norms and rules of the day. See, Roman soldiers were only allowed to force a subject to carry their pack 1 mile. If they forced that subject to carry their pack even a foot beyond that mile, they would be subject to severe punishment themselves. This was a Roman law that was put into place in order to deter rioting and protest among the peoples that they had conquered. You see, Jesus is telling the Jews here to go the extra mile because it will mean severe punishment for the Roman soldier, not to mention the humiliation that it would bring to that soldier in front of his peers. So this totally changes the meaning, right? So why the history lesson today? First of all, these two sayings have been used to encourage a specific lifestyle or worth ethic that permeates the modern world today. Now, granted, I can't think of any instance where the lack of context for these two sayings has created widespread, sweeping destruction. But my point here is simple. We face a number of difficult decisions going forward, not only for ourselves, but also for our organizations, our communities, and the world at large. So, in order for us to make better and more informed decisions about the future, we have to question everything we think we know about how the world works, what it's supposed to look like, and what we must do to create a better one for those coming behind us. By doing so, we are much better equipped to anticipate and respond to change and disruption. Now, there's no honor in sticking to your guns if your guns misfire when you actually need to use them. So I'll leave you with this. In our time of great polarization and partisanship, will you accept the simplified narrative of one side versus the other? Or will you challenge your own beliefs and assumptions about the world, where you're going, and what's truly possible for the future? As always, thank you for watching. Please feel free to share this on social media or email the URL directly to anyone that you think would find this to be of value. Of course, if you'd like to find out more about me and my work, I invite you to visit my site at thejarednicholsgroup.com. And as always, I look forward to seeing you next week.